What if a penny hiding in your change jar right now could be worth a fortune? Imagine spotting a 1978 Lincoln penny, flipping it over, and seeing absolutely no mint mark. That tiny detail might make your heart race, but before you start planning how to spend $1 million, there is a mystery you need to solve. Because a 1978 no mint mark penny is usually not rare at all, yet certain unusual examples can become dramatically more valuable. And the difference can be hiding in details most people never notice. If you have a 1978 Lincoln cent, stay with me because we're going to look at what the missing mint mark actually means, which mistakes collectors care about, what condition can do to the price, and why some online claims about million-dollar pennies need a serious reality check. The biggest surprise may not be the date. It may be what happened to the coin before it ever reached your pocket. Start with the basics. The 1978 Lincoln cent features Abraham Lincoln on the front, with the familiar words "Liberty" and "I in God We Trust" surrounding his portrait. On the reverse, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, along with United States of America, 1 cent, and E pluribus unum. It is one of the most recognizable coins in American history. Now look directly beneath the date. See nothing? That is not automatically a rare error. In 1978, the Philadelphia Mint produced Lincoln cents without a mint mark. Denver coins carried a small d, while San Francisco coins carried an S on the proof issues. So if your 1978 penny has no mint mark, that can be completely normal. In fact, millions of ordinary 1978 cents were made without one. And here's where the story gets interesting. A normal coin can be common, while an unusual coin from the same year can attract collectors. The trick is knowing the difference. Take your penny and examine the date first. Are the numbers sharp and well-formed? Is the surface covered with scratches, stains, dark spots, or heavy wear? Or does the coin still look remarkably fresh, with strong details and original-looking surfaces? Condition matters. A coin that spent decades in circulation may be worth little more than its face value. But a coin preserved in exceptional condition can be much more interesting to collectors. The highest grades are difficult to achieve because even tiny marks can prevent a coin from receiving a top certification. Here's a pattern interrupt worth remembering. Don't polish it. If you think you've found a valuable penny, cleaning it can actually hurt its collector value. Scrubbing, chemicals, abrasive materials, or even aggressive rubbing can leave permanent damage. What looks like making the coin prettier can make it less desirable. Instead, hold the penny by its edges and use good lighting. A simple flashlight can reveal marks and unusual features that disappear under normal room light. Now check the reverse. Look at the Lincoln Memorial. Are the details crisp? Are the lines around the building strong? Is the lettering clean? Does anything look doubled, distorted, unusually thick, or strangely positioned? This is where genuine mint errors can become exciting. But be careful because not every strange-looking mark is an error. Damage can happen after a coin leaves the mint. A coin can be squeezed, scratched, struck by machinery, exposed to chemicals, or altered by another person. Collectors want evidence that an unusual feature was created during the manufacturing process, not after. That distinction can mean the difference between an ordinary penny and a collectible. Now let's talk about the $1 million claim. You may see videos, social posts, or listings suggesting that a 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is worth $1 million. That sounds incredible. It also creates the perfect clickbait headline. But a claim is not the same thing as a verified sale. There is no reason to assume that every 1978 penny without a mint mark is worth anything close to $1 million. The missing mint mark is expected on Philadelphia cents from that year. A truly extraordinary value would require extraordinary evidence, such as a documented major error, exceptional condition, authenticated provenance, and a legitimate auction or private transaction supporting the price. So don't throw away the coin because it's ordinary, and don't quit your job because someone online called it $1 million penny. Instead, look for what could actually make yours special. One possibility is a dramatic mint error. Another is an unusually high grade. Another could involve a variety that specialists recognize. The important point is that these features need professional identification before you attach a huge price tag to the coin. And here's another mistake people make. They confuse asking prices with selling prices. Anyone can put a penny online for $1 million. That does not mean someone paid $1 million for it. Real value comes from what comparable coins have actually sold for, preferably through reputable auction records or established dealers. The market decides value, not a random internet listing. Now imagine two 1978 pennies sitting side by side. They have the same date. They both have no mint mark. At first glance, they look identical. But one has been carried in pockets, dropped on sidewalks, washed, scratched, and spent countless times. The other was carefully preserved shortly after leaving the mint and may have survived with extraordinary surfaces. Same year. Same denomination. Very different collector appeal. That is why serious collectors examine more than the date. Look at the color, too. Lincoln cents can show different appearances depending on how they were stored and what happened to the copper surface. A bright, original-looking red coin in exceptional condition can be far more desirable than a heavily worn example. But color alone does not create a fortune. It works together with grade, quality, rarity, and authentication. And don't forget the edge. Turn the penny sideways and inspect it. A normal Lincoln cent has a plain edge. If you see something truly unusual, document it carefully. Take clear photographs from several angles. Don't clean it. Don't scrape it. And don't immediately send it to a stranger promising a huge payout. If you think you found a genuine error, consider getting an opinion from a reputable numismatist or a major professional grading service. Authentication can protect you from both disappointment and bad deals. Now, here's the question that could make this personal. Do you have a 1978 Lincoln penny sitting somewhere right now? Maybe it's in an old coffee can. Maybe it's in a family coin jar. Maybe it came back as change from a grocery store years ago. Most people would never look twice at it. But you might. Grab that penny. Look at the date. Look beneath the date. No mint mark. Don't panic, and don't celebrate just yet. That's the normal Philadelphia production characteristic for 1978. Now inspect the condition and the details. Look for genuine abnormalities, not scratches that happened later. Then compare it with another 1978 cent. Sometimes the fastest way to notice something unusual is to put an ordinary example beside it. And this is where the real lesson of the 1978 penny becomes powerful. The coin doesn't have to be $1 million treasure to be fascinating. Every old coin carries a manufacturing story. Passed through machines, bags, banks, cash registers, pockets, drawers, and generations of collectors. Most disappeared into everyday spending without anyone wondering where they came from. But a small number survived in unusual condition or with unusual characteristics. Those are the coins people search for. So if someone tells you that every 1978 no mint mark penny is worth $1 million, remember the rule. Slow down, verify the claim, and examine the coin. A missing mint mark on a 1978 Lincoln cent is normally expected. The real opportunity is discovering whether your particular coin has something beyond that ordinary characteristic. And if it does, the next step isn't guessing. It's authentication. Because the most valuable thing you can find in a coin jar isn't always the coin itself. Sometimes it's the clue that tells you to look closer. So check your 1978 pennies tonight. Check the date. Check the surfaces. Check the details. And most importantly, don't clean anything that looks unusual. You could find nothing more than a common old cent. Or you could discover a coin with a legitimate error or exceptional condition that deserves a closer look. And that uncertainty is exactly why coin hunting remains so addictive. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden stories behind ordinary American coins, keep checking those jars, drawers, and old collections. One overlooked detail can completely change the conversation. And remember, before believing a spectacular price, find the evidence behind it. Your next discovery may be sitting in plain sight. Because sometimes the difference between 1 cent and serious collector interest is not a magical date, but a tiny detail, a verified error, and the condition nobody noticed until years later. That is where the real hunt begins today. Stop before you spend that 1984 Lincoln penny. If it has no mint mark, you might think you have $1 million coin sitting in your pocket. But there is a catch, and knowing that catch could save you from throwing away something valuable, or believing a claim that simply is not true. The 1984 Lincoln cent is one of those coins that looks ordinary until collectors start examining the tiny details. Today, we are going to uncover what the missing mint mark really means, which 1984 pennies can bring serious money, what famous error collectors watch for, and why a normal example is nowhere near $1 million. And stay with me because the most important clue is not the date alone. It is hiding in Lincoln's portrait. Picture this. You are cleaning out an old jar of coins. Pennies spill across the table. Then one catches your eye. 1984. No D. No S. Just a plain date. Your first thought might be, is this the rare one? That question is exactly where the mystery begins. On United States cents, a mint mark tells you where the coin was produced. A D means Denver, and an S means San Francisco. But Philadelphia traditionally produced cents without a mint mark. In 1984, that means a 1984 penny with no mint mark is not automatically rare. In fact, millions were struck in Philadelphia. That is the first trap. A missing mint mark on a 1984 penny does not, by itself, turn the coin into a treasure. So if someone tells you every 1984 no mint penny is worth $1 million, slow down. The date and missing letter are only the beginning. Now here is where things get much more interesting. The 1984 cent is famous among error collectors because of a dramatic doubled ear variety. Look closely at Lincoln's ear. On certain genuine examples, the ear shows an additional, clearly separated image caused by a doubled die. This is not the same thing as a coin that merely looks blurry, damaged, scratched, or doubled because of ordinary wear. And that distinction matters enormously. Imagine finding a 1984 penny where Lincoln's ear appears strangely enlarged or doubled. Your heart might start racing. But before celebrating, you need to determine whether the doubling is actually part of the die design or simply damage created after the coin left the mint. Here is a quick pattern interrupt. Grab a magnifying glass, use strong lighting, and rotate the coin slowly. Do not judge it from one photograph or one glance. Collectors study the shape, location, and separation of the doubled features. Genuine double die characteristics can appear as distinct raised design elements. Mechanical doubling can look flatter, shelf-like, or spread differently. Damage can create even stranger shapes. To an untrained eye, all three can look exciting. That is why authentication matters. And there is another surprise. Condition can completely change the conversation. A heavily circulated 1984 penny with scratches, stains, discoloration, and worn lettering is usually common. A sharply struck coin with original surfaces, excellent red color, and extremely high grade can be far more interesting to collectors. This is where coin grading becomes important. Imagine two 1984 pennies sitting side by side. They have the same date and both have no mint mark. One has been passed through pockets, cash registers, and coin jars for decades. The other looks almost untouched, with sharp details and attractive original color. To a casual observer, they are basically identical. To a collector, they can be dramatically different. But do not make the next mistake. Never assume a shiny penny is automatically valuable. Some coins have been cleaned, polished, coated, or chemically altered. Those treatments can destroy original surfaces and reduce collector appeal. A naturally preserved coin is generally much more desirable than one that has been aggressively improved. So what about the $1 million claim? This is where we need to separate excitement from reality. There is no credible basis for saying that an ordinary 1984 Lincoln cent with no mint mark is worth $1 million. A sensational headline can make a common coin sound like a lottery ticket, but the real numismatic story is more fascinating because it teaches you exactly what to look for. The real opportunity is the possibility of a genuine error or exceptional condition. Think about what makes a coin valuable. It is usually some combination of rarity, demand, condition, and authentication. A coin does not become valuable simply because someone posts a huge number beside its photograph online. That brings us to one of the biggest mistakes beginners make: confusing an asking price with a selling price. Someone can list a penny online for $1 million. That does not mean anyone will pay $1 million for it. An actual auction result is much stronger evidence because it shows what a buyer actually paid under real market conditions. So when you research your 1984 penny, search for verified auction records, reputable grading information, and documented varieties. Be skeptical of dramatic claims without evidence. Now let us return to that Lincoln ear. If your 1984 penny shows possible doubling, do not scrape it, polish it, bend it, or try to make the error clearer. Every one of those actions can hurt the coin. Keep it in its current condition and compare it with reliable images of recognized varieties. And remember something important. The absence of a mint mark is normal for a Philadelphia cent from this era. That tiny blank space beneath the date is not the jackpot by itself. Still, your coin could be worth checking. Why? Because ordinary coins sometimes become interesting when their exact variety, grade, or error is identified. Most will not become fortunes. But collectors know that finding the right unusual feature can change the value conversation completely. There is also a psychological reason these pennies are so fascinating. We handle cents without thinking about them. We toss them into drawers, leave them in cup holders, and forget them in old jars. That makes the idea of discovering something special feel almost impossible. Yet every collector starts with curiosity. What is this coin? And why does it look different? That curiosity is the habit you want. So take out your 1984 cents and inspect 3 things. First, check the date. Second, confirm whether there is a mint mark. Third, examine Lincoln's ear and nearby design details under magnification. Then check the coin's overall condition. Are the letters sharp? Are the fields clean? Is the original red color still present? Are there scratches, spots, or signs of cleaning? And here is your final warning. Do not let the words "no mint mark" make the decision for you. A 1984 Philadelphia cent without a mint mark is common. A genuine recognized double die variety is a different story. An exceptionally high-grade example is another story. A damaged coin pretending to be an error is something else entirely. The difference is identification. If you think you found something unusual, photograph both sides in good lighting and capture a close-up of the suspected error. Compare it with trusted numismatic references. If the evidence still looks convincing, professional authentication and grading may be worth considering, especially before spending money based on an internet claim. And now comes the question I want you to answer. Do you have a 1984 Lincoln penny with no mint mark? If you do, look at Lincoln's ear before you put it back in the jar. That tiny area could tell you much more than the missing mint mark ever will. But keep your expectations realistic. Finding a $1,001,984 penny is not a normal outcome. The real lesson is that valuable coins are usually valuable for specific, verifiable reasons, not because of a dramatic headline. That is actually good news. It means you do not need to memorize every rumor on the internet. You need to learn how to inspect a coin, recognize legitimate varieties, protect its condition, and verify claims before believing them. So the next time you see a plain 1984 penny, do not automatically dismiss it. Turn it over. Check the date. Look for the mint mark. Study the ear. Examine the surfaces. Then ask the most important question of all. Is there something genuinely unusual here? Because sometimes the difference between an ordinary cent and a collector's prize is incredibly small. And sometimes, the biggest discovery is realizing that the coin everyone says is worth a fortune is actually telling a completely different story. The next coin you inspect could be ordinary, or it could contain a detail people never notice. Either way, knowing what you are looking at is the treasure. Keep searching, keep learning, and verify claim. If you enjoyed uncovering the truth behind this 1984 Lincoln cent, keep checking those old jars, coin rolls, and pocket change. Subscribe for more hidden coin mysteries, valuable errors, surprising auction stories, and simple clues that can help you spot the coins worth investigating before someone else does. What if a penny sitting in your kitchen drawer right now looks completely ordinary, yet someone online claims it could be worth $1 million? That sounds unbelievable. But there is one tiny detail on a 1989 Lincoln penny that sends collectors searching through jars, rolls, and old change. And if you have a 1989 penny with no mint mark, you need to know what that blank space actually means before you get excited or throw it away. The coin we're talking about is the 1989 Lincoln Memorial cent, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. At first glance, it seems like the perfect hidden treasure candidate. The date says 1989. There is no letter under the date, and that's exactly where the mystery begins. But here's the first surprise. A missing mint mark on a normal 1989 Lincoln cent is not automatically an error. In 1989, the Philadelphia Mint struck Lincoln cents without a mint mark. Denver coins carried a small d, and San Francisco produced proof cents carrying an S. So if your 1989 penny has no mint mark, that alone does not make it rare. In other words, millions of ordinary 1989 cents can have exactly the feature that makes internet headlines sound exciting. So why do people talk about enormous values? Because collectors know something important. Sometimes the value isn't in the date alone. It can be hiding in the condition, the strike, the metal, or a genuine mint error. And this is where you should slow down and look closely. Take your 1989 penny and place it under a bright light. Don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't rub it with an eraser. Cleaning can permanently damage the surfaces and destroy collector value. Instead, turn the coin slowly and watch how the light moves across Lincoln's cheek, jaw, hair, and the fields around his portrait. Now look at the date. Is every digit sharp? Does anything appear doubled? Are letters or numbers strangely separated, distorted, or unusually thick? Next, inspect the reverse. Look at the words 1 cent and United States of America. Examine the Lincoln Memorial. Are the columns sharply defined? Is the rim complete? Does the coin appear dramatically off-center? Is there an unusual crescent of missing design? These details can matter when a coin has a genuine mint-made error. And here's another pattern interrupt. Don't confuse damage with an error. A coin that was smashed in a machine, scratched on pavement, heated, chemically altered, or damaged after leaving the mint may look strange, but unusual does not automatically mean valuable. Collectors pay premiums for documented mint errors because those mistakes happen during production. Now let's talk about the $1 million claim. A 1989 Philadelphia Lincoln cent with no mint mark is not known to be a $1 million coin simply because it lacks a mint mark. There is no credible auction record establishing a standard 1989 no mint mark cent at $1 million. In fact, published PCGS auction records show the recorded auction high for a regular 1989 Lincoln cent at $4,113 for an MS-68 example sold by Heritage Auctions in 2013. That is a huge difference from $1 million. So where could a $1 million story come from? Usually, sensational coin claims combine a real coin, a real high auction price from another coin, and a dramatic headline. Sometimes a valuable error is presented as though every coin of that date shares the same value. Sometimes an asking price on an online marketplace is mistaken for a completed sale. And sometimes a completely ordinary penny gets a fictional price attached to it because the headline gets more clicks. This distinction could save you from making a costly mistake. An asking price is not the same thing as an auction result. Anyone can list a penny for $1 million. That does not mean anyone will pay $1 million for it. Now, that doesn't mean you should ignore your 1989 penny. The opposite. The coin may be interesting if it has exceptional preservation or a genuine error. PCGS auction records show that a 1989 Lincoln cent in MS-67 has sold for modest amounts in recorded examples, while an exceptional MS-68 example reached $4,113. That tells us something fascinating. Condition can create a dramatic difference, even when the date and basic design are identical. Two pennies can both say 1989 and have no mint mark. Yet one can be worth face value while another, preserved at an extraordinary level, can attract collector attention. That's the real hidden value story. Now examine the color. Modern Lincoln cents from this period were made primarily with a copper-plated zinc composition, not the solid bronze composition used for older cents. That means you should be suspicious of claims that every 1989 penny is valuable because it contains a large amount of copper. It doesn't. But unusual weight or composition can be a reason to investigate further. If your 1989 cent looks different from other cents, weigh it using an accurate digital scale. Do not rely on your hand. A genuine wrong planchet or composition error can be extremely interesting, but the difference must be verified. A damaged, altered, or plated coin can produce confusing results. Here's something many beginners miss. Authentication matters. If you believe your 1989 penny has a major mint error, compare it with reliable references before spending money. Then consider having the coin examined by a respected grading service. Now imagine the moment. You are sorting through a jar of change. You spot 1989. You flip the coin over. No mint mark. Your heart jumps. Before you celebrate, remember what you've learned. The blank space beneath the date is normal for a Philadelphia 1989 cent. That's not the treasure by itself. The treasure hunt begins when something else doesn't look normal. Maybe the strike is dramatically off-center. Maybe the coin has a verified doubled feature. Maybe the planchet or composition is wrong. Maybe the coin survived decades with almost unbelievably clean surfaces. Those are the clues that can separate a normal penny from a collectible. And now comes the question everyone wants answered. Could your 1989 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny really be worth $1 million? Based on documented auction evidence, you should not expect it. There is no established million-dollar market record for a standard 1989 no-mint Mark cent. The strongest documented regular coin auction figure I found is $4,113 for an MS-68 example. That is still thousands of dollars for a 1-cent denomination, but it is nowhere near 1 million. And that difference is incredibly important. Because the goal isn't to make you believe every old penny is secretly a fortune. The goal is to teach you how to recognize when a penny deserves a second look. So pull out your change jar. Check every 1989 Lincoln cent. Look for the no-mint Mark Philadelphia issue, but don't stop there. Inspect the date, lettering, rim, strike, color, surfaces, and weight. Compare suspicious coins side by side. Use magnification if necessary, and never clean a potentially valuable coin. Then ask yourself one simple question. What exactly makes this coin different? If the only answer is, it has no mint mark, you probably have a normal 1989 Philadelphia cent. If there is another unusual feature, that's when the story gets interesting. And remember, rarity is not created by a headline. Value is created by demand, condition, scarcity, authenticity, and documented sales. That is the lesson behind the $1,001,989 penny story. Maybe your coin isn't worth $1 million. Maybe it isn't worth 1,000. Maybe it's worth 1 cent. But every once in a while, a coin really does surprise its owner. And you will never know which one deserves a closer look if you never check. So before you toss that old penny into a cup, take 5 seconds. Read the date. Check the mint mark. Turn it over. Look again. Because the biggest mistake a coin hunter can make isn't finding a rare coin and missing its value. It's never looking closely enough to realize they found something unusual. If you have a 1989 penny, check it tonight and see what you find. And if you discover a strange error, a strike, or a coin in condition, get it professionally evaluated before trusting an outrageous online price. There are millions of pennies hiding in plain sight. Most are ordinary. But the fun begins when one isn't. And that's why the next time a 1989 Lincoln penny lands in your hand, don't spend it automatically. Look twice. That tiny coin might not make you a millionaire, but it could still be hiding a story, an error, or a surprising piece of American numismatic history. Keep checking your change, keep your expectations realistic, and keep your eyes open. Because sometimes, the most interesting treasure isn't the coin with the biggest headline. It's the coin that makes you stop and ask, wait, why does this one look different? And that question is exactly where every great coin hunt begins. Stop scrolling for just a second because that ordinary 1995 Lincoln penny sitting in a jar, drawer, or old coffee may look like 1 cent. But there is a famous reason collectors still check this date. And before you get too excited, there is one detail you absolutely need to understand. A 1995 penny with no mint mark is not automatically a $1 million coin. In fact, the real story is much more interesting. If you have a 1995 Abraham Lincoln cent, stay with me because we are going to uncover what the missing mint mark actually means, which 1995 variety collectors hunt for, what mistakes can destroy the value, and what the strongest documented examples have really sold for. By the end, you will know exactly where to look before you spend another penny. First, pick up your 1995 cent and turn it over. On the front, beneath the date, you may see a tiny letter. If there is no letter at all, that does not automatically mean the mint forgot something. For regular 1995 Lincoln cents, no mint mark means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And Philadelphia produced a staggering number of these cents. More than 6 billion regular 1995 cents were struck there. So the first myth disappears immediately. No mint mark by itself is not a rare error. But now comes the twist. The 1995 Philadelphia cent has a famous variety that can completely change the conversation. It is known as the 1995 double die obverse. And unlike many supposed doubling errors you may see online, This one is a genuine, recognized variety. Look closely at the words Liberty and I in God We Trust. On a true double die, parts of the lettering show distinct separation and extra design impressions. The effect can be dramatic enough to notice without fancy equipment. Here is where things get interesting. Imagine finding one of these coins in an old family jar. You might see the date, notice the missing mint mark, and think you have discovered a mint error. But the missing letter is normal. The potential value is hiding somewhere else entirely. That is the first big lesson with modern coins. Never decide a coin is valuable from one feature alone. The United States Mint was producing enormous quantities of Lincoln cents, and most were made to circulate. The coin itself is copper-plated zinc, weighs about 2.50 grams, and measures 19 millimeters across. It was designed by Victor David Brenner, with the familiar Lincoln portrait that had already become an American classic. Millions upon millions entered pockets, cash registers, vending machines, and kitchen change jars. And that is exactly why a true double die is so fascinating. It was not supposed to happen. A double die is created during the die-making process, before the finished coins are struck. The design on the working die can receive a misaligned impression, leaving a doubled image on every coin produced from that die. That is very different from simple machine doubling, which can make letters look flat, shelf-like, or slightly shifted after the strike. And this distinction can save you from a costly mistake. If you see a little extra metal around a letter, do not immediately call it a double die. Real collectible doubling has recognizable characteristics and should be compared with trusted reference images or examined by a professional. Now, here's another surprise. The 1995 double die was so dramatic that early examples attracted major attention. PCGS notes that some raw examples initially commanded prices around $300, although prices later fell as more examples were discovered. That is a perfect reminder that rarity, demand, condition, and supply all work together. So what is your 1995 penny actually worth? For a normal circulated 1995 Philadelphia cent with no mint mark and no significant error or variety, the answer is usually simple, about face value. Yes, 1 cent. That may sound disappointing, but do not put it away yet. Condition can make a difference. A pristine, sharply struck 1995 cent with original red color can bring more than a worn example. Certified high-grade coins have reached auction prices in the thousands, although those are exceptional pieces and not typical pocket change. PCGS records a $2,760 auction result for a regular 1995 Philadelphia cent graded MS-69 red. That is a spectacular jump from 1 cent, but notice what made it special. Extreme condition, not the absence of a mint mark. Now we reach the part many videos skip. What about the famous double die? This is where your microscope, magnifying glass, or even a good phone camera can become useful. Start with Liberty. Look carefully at the letters, especially areas where doubling is known to appear. Then inspect I in God We Trust. You are looking for clear, secondary design impressions, not scratches, dents, shadows, or damage. And whatever you do, do not clean the coin. That shiny, polished look may seem attractive, but cleaning can permanently damage a collectible coin and reduce its desirability. Never scrub it with toothpaste, baking soda, metal polish, or household chemicals. Instead, hold it by the edges and inspect it under good lighting. Now ask yourself 3 questions. Is the coin definitely dated 1995? Does it have no mint mark, indicating Philadelphia? And most importantly, does it show genuine double die characteristics? If the answer to all 3 is yes, you may have something worth investigating. But there is another layer. Not every 1995 double die is worth thousands. Grade matters enormously. Color matters. Appeal matters. Certification matters. And the exact variety matters. For example, PCGS records a 1995 double die obverse red example graded MS-69 that sold for $5,053 in 2017. Another PCGS auction record shows an MS-69 red example selling for $3,877.50 in 2020. Those numbers are impressive, but they are still nowhere near $1 million. So where did the $1 million claim come from? This is where you need to be careful. Rare coin headlines often take an extraordinary asking price, an unsold online listing, a hypothetical future value, or a completely different coin and attach that number to an ordinary date. A 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln cent does not have a credible documented million-dollar auction record. That does not make the coin boring. Actually, it makes the hunt more exciting, because now you know what separates a real discovery from internet hype. Think about it this way. If someone hands you a 1995 penny and says it is worth $1 million simply because it has no mint mark, you now know the correct response. Turn it over. Look closer. Prove it. That simple habit is what separates serious collectors from people chasing rumors. And there is one more reason the 1995 cent deserves attention. The double die is considered one of the most dramatic double die varieties among modern circulating U.S. coins. That means a coin that looks completely ordinary at first glance can contain a real minting story underneath the surface. You stop. You grab a magnifier. You compare the lettering. And there it is, a second impression where there should only be one. That moment is why coin hunting is so addictive. You are not just looking for money. You are looking for evidence of something that happened at the mint decades ago. If you find a suspected double die, compare it with trusted numismatic references before assuming the value. And if the coin appears exceptional, consider professional authentication and grading. A certified grade can make a major difference when a coin is genuinely rare. Now I want you to do something. Go find your 1995 pennies. Look under the date. If there is no mint mark, remember, Philadelphia is normal. Then examine Liberty and Iron God we trust. Do you see clear, separated doubling? Or does everything look normal? And here is the question I want you to answer in the comments. Have you ever found a coin that looked worthless until you noticed one tiny detail? Because that is the real secret behind valuable coins. Sometimes the treasure is not obvious. Sometimes it is hiding in plain sight. And sometimes the biggest mistake is throwing away a coin before taking 10 seconds to inspect it. The 1995 Lincoln cent may not be $1 million coin simply because it has no mint mark, but the right variety in extraordinary condition can be worth far more than 1 cent. And that is exactly why this little coin keeps collectors looking. So before you empty that change jar, before you cash in an old collection, and before you dismiss a penny as worthless, slow down. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Check the lettering. And most importantly, check the details. Because the next unusual coin you find might not announce itself with a giant price tag. It might just sit quietly in your hand, waiting for you to notice what everyone else missed. If you enjoyed this hunt, subscribe for more hidden coin mysteries, rare varieties, and valuable pieces hiding in everyday American change. Keep looking, keep learning, and never assume a penny is just a penny until you have checked it carefully.